Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai hara mai ki te Ao Hākinakina, your sports show here at your tribal pulse, Te Koremako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Now, he's born and raised in Te Hāwera, has travelled and spent a significant amount of time abroad in Australia, Holland, England, before returning back to us here in Aotearoa. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience, not only within the sporting world, but in business also. He's our new Māori Lead at Sport Taranaki. No mai hara mai, Jay Wilkinson. Kia ora, bro.
Kia ora, bro. Tēnā koe nā. Tēnā koe te whānau. Ngā mihi o te rangi. Kia ora. Thank you for having me. Hi. Morning.
Awesome. It's great to have you here, brother, and I'm really stoked to hear about your journey and your new role. But before we get started, ko wai koe, no he koe, a bit about yourself, your whānau, and where you're from.
Ko Jay Rangi Wilkinson toko ingo, ka Aotea te waka, ko Taranaki te maunga, ko Ngāroe Hene, Ngātaranui, Tangahoi o ko iwi, Kāmihi, Ngātaranui, Warapuni, Aotea, o ko iwi, o ko hapu, ko whakasirangi ki papa, ki mama, ko Joirangi, ko Chloe Wilkinson toko wahine, ko William Tamatea Rangi tuku tama. Kia ora. A little bit about me. I'm Taranaki born in Hāwera. It's nice to be home, but it's also nice to be back and stuck in a lot of mahi. So kia ora, man. I've an open book, so ask anything you want, brother. Ask anything you want.
Awesome, Jay. Hey, it's great to have you. So tell us a little bit about your journey in your earlier years. You know, you said you're from Te Hāwera, so your earlier years. How did you get involved with sports?
Oh, brother, it's a long story. We were a pretty disciplined family or whānau in athletics, so a lot of my weekends was spent on the athletic track. Wellington regionals. So my whānau, with my dad at Pātem Freezing Works. When that shut down, he went south with the migration of, of skilled labourers. Was a carpenter. So mum was a nurse at Hāwera Hospital. So we ended up in Wellington. Dad was still doing carpentry and mum was still doing nursing. So a lot of my sporting began in weekends. I come from a pretty... I wouldn't say it was the best of surroundings of neighbourhoods. So, we were pretty entrenched in sports, or else you got into trouble with other things in life. So, a lot of that upbringing was historical, but, raised by gangs. But sort of we were really encouraged to take a sport. And a lot of us Māori were playing rugby and that sort of thing. So for me, it was athletics. I used to like running, normally running away from people. So I was a scrawny little kid that was pretty skinny and fast. So athletics was my thing. I still hold a couple of Wellington records for the 400 metres and the 800 metres. But travelled all over the country with that. And then in the winter time, I wasn't a rugby player originally. I was a cross-country runner. So represented New Zealand in athletics for schools and for cross-country for Wellington and then New Zealand. So that was a natural pathway into sports. That went off to Massey University. A bit of work experience first in the army and then off to Massey University. So Massey was a introduction to a bit of a culture of rugby. So I didn't really start playing rugby until the schools, last year of school, second year last year at school. And that became Massey University. So Massey was rugby, did really well at Massey with rugby. And then, that became American football somehow. I think we got roped in over the summer. So summer was American football because you got to hit people in the summer weather. And then before I knew it, I was representing the New Zealand haka and in American football. So that was my third sport I'd represented New Zealand in by the time I was 24, I think, by the time I was 22. And that just progressed me along that sporting lines. But my father was pretty disciplined in education as well. So he has made sure we went to school and we went to university and that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, brother, that's how we progressed.
That's really what a journey on all the different sports that you've mentioned, athletics and American football and cross country and the likes. What are you involved with now in terms of your sports?
Oh, now I'm really enjoying my wider around sport and working with young people. So young whānau, and trying to pave the way forward to some of those boys that come from, but pretty hard backgrounds, because you've walked the line and you can speak from experience. So I get involved with rugby. So now 321 first grade games of rugby played, and 222 I think it is now I've coached. So I like to be around that environment, and it's challenging. But also, I find that a lot of young minds struggle in that space. So I like to get involved and help them out where I can. So playing golf as well, but rugby wise, so I'm coaching at New Zealand Māoris under 18 stage. So I meet up with a lot of local young sports to have engagement at the Hurricanes regionals. So a lot of schools there as well. Coaching as well. So, I've been fortunate enough in the past to coach a lot of teams overseas as well. So I've still kept on that hikoi for myself, trying to keep me solid in that space. So South England, coached there, Australia and Manly, and St Patrick's over there as well. So that's probably where I started my coaching experience. And how I got into coaching, brother, was I was injured as a player. And they just fired the coaches the week before for non-performing. And they were like, oh, the guys, you can talk to them. And that was my natural progression into coaching. So I think I was voluntold to do that. And I really enjoyed it. So I've stayed in that space. National, won probably eight championships out of 12. So coaching. So really enjoying that space at the moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, great stuff. So you obviously a lot of experience here, over 300 games playing, over 200 games coaching. But I hear you've been through a bit of a tough patch too in your life as well, on your journey. So had a bit of a health scare. How did you manage to bounce back from this?
Oh, that was hard, man, because, I'd lost quite a lot of weight. I'm probably the only guy you'll know that's played 120 games at loosehead prop, but also the other 200 games I've played out in the back line at centre, fullback and winger. So I was a big boy growing up. I was 120 kg winger, and I was fast. So I ran those centres, and then we had a couple of injuries in our team, so I ended up on the side of the scrum, and I really enjoyed it because you got to tackle a lot. And then that was because I was 120 kgs. We had a warm up one weekend, and our loosehead prop went down, and then 5 minutes into the match, the other prop went down. So I was like, "Oh, you're big enough. Get in the front row." And I really liked it because you could be last everywhere, and you could drop the ball, and no one would question you, and you'd make natural mistakes, and they'd be, "Oh, he's a prop." So I really enjoyed it in the front row. And then I had to, obviously, with some health and some hereditary health problems from I inherited. I had to lose a bit of weight, so I went from 140 odd kgs down to 85, I think it was. And then from there, I moved home with my whānau, and I got really mawawea so I was unlucky. I had pneumonia the first time, and my son came home with the flu, which gave me the flu on top of pneumonia, which ended up with my wife going, "Hey," that time we went to the hospital, and I was that typical male stubborn, "Oh, and I can just go up and have a couple of minutes sleep and I'll be right. I'll shake it off." That ended up in a week and a half in hospital. There's nothing really like the doctor walking up to you going, you're about 3 days away from dying, don't you? So it was a bit of a harsh reality. Plays on you mentally as well. So it took me the best part of 6 months to put some weight on. and I wasn't eating, I wasn't looking after myself, and I was that guy that just thought, everything's traveling smoothly, and then the mental games start to play. So a bit of black dog in there as well. So I work with Matty Brown on my father's barber. Know him really well, so been working with him a lot, and he's just sort of built up my wairua. I got to the point where I couldn't even look at a rugby ball, wasn't interested. And then now I've got sort of back into it and been surrounded by some really good guys like Tuaiti and Mikey Kainga as well. So we're in the Taranaki setup. So they, I suppose, it helped me to open up with those guys, just telling them how sick I was, because I was just showing up just to give them a bit of guidance. And it was like, oh, well, you can coach here and you can coach there and you can coach everywhere, and before you know it, you're all over the show. And I'm not a sort of guy that says no when someone asks for help. So you end up wearing all the responsibility. So but in a way, that's been really good as well, because it's pulled me out of that bad space. So a lot of running the dogs and walking the dogs down on the beach, clearing my head in the morning and in the afternoon has worked. Them being around me has worked, and they might not think it, but they are. They're incredibly important to me. So just surrounding myself with good people. So
that's really special. I mean, from 140 odd kilos down to 80 is a massive achievement, man. Yeah. So well done to you for all your mahi to push you out of that space and to get into the light and do what you're doing. So you've just recently taken on a new role as the Māori Lead at Sport Taranaki. What excites you about this role, and tell us a little bit about it?
I suppose it's early days so far. Like, I've only been employed there for 2 weeks, so for me it's really about getting my feet under the chair, and I've got some good leadership there, and I'll say this for Sport Taranaki, they're trying. They're trying to get in all the right spaces for Māori. They're trying to get in the right spaces for the community. They're trying to improve everything there as well. So that, before I took a role, the first role I took back from coming back sick. I'd been out of work for 6 months because I was sick. Doctors wouldn't release me to go back to work. They were pretty cautious on me. So I had to make sure that first role that I went into was a good balance mentally and physically as well. To me, it came across in when we sit down. Like, I didn't go and just apply for the role. I actually talked to them and talked them through it, and they filled me full of confidence of what they wanted to aim towards. So for me, I thought I could use connection as well as some of the mentoring I do around the maunga. I mentor probably 10 to 12 boys at the moment, and they're probably teenage years, but also connecting with them. And just making a really good environment out of it. But I see what's written down in the pathway in which they're looking to walk, and that's pretty special. It's pretty special. So for me, it's enabling me to get out in the community. Like what other employer can you go to and they go, well, we actually want you to go out and take Māori out for a game of golf, or we want to go out and we really want to attempt to show some aroha towards kaumātua swimming, or it's a special place, but it's good balance for me. It still enables me to be around Māori and be in something that I love. So for me, it's strummed all the good strings that you like to sing along to. So
that's really, really cool. So just before we finish off today, is there one piece of advice you could give those that might be going through adversity or struggles within their sporting journey? And if so, what would that be?
Yeah, that's a hard question, because people are different, and what I've found is there's people that are willing to ask for help, and there's people that aren't, and there's people that just need to talk, and there's people that like their silence. So it's kind of hard, but it's good just to tap into those people and make sure someone's okay. Sometimes the best thing to do is just sit there and listen, and let them spurge out. But my advice would be talk, kōrero. Get yourself surrounded with good, like-minded people of where you want to be and what you want to do, and then make really good informed decisions. Like what I say to our boys, even if it's New Zealand Māori, or Taranaki Māori men or anywhere along those lines, if you need to chat, just come and have a coffee. And that's really what, it's the aroha which you speak across the table. It can make or break someone's day. And I've got guys that come to me every week. I've got guys that come to me once a month. I've got guys that come to me every 6 months just for a chat. But it's about, sometimes it's not even a chat. It's just to sit there and listen. And I don't think we do enough of that in the communities as well, as we just sit there and listen. So my advice is to look, there's good help out there and there's good people out there. So really tune into those people that are like-minded and want to help, because sometimes they're there for the good reasons. So yeah.
That's really beautiful, bro, and thank you for being that person that's there for those that need that help and support. I know it's greatly appreciated. Once upon a time, I was a rangatahi myself, and I never forget those that were there in those spaces. So thank you for the catch up today, Jay.
Awesome.
Really appreciate your time. So great to hear of your journey and the ebbs and the flows that have come with that journey. We're blessed to have you back home here with us, sharing your vast amount of knowledge and experience. And we look forward to seeing you do the amazing things in your new role. So ngā mihi nui ki a koe te rangatira.
Ana mihi, bye. Yeah.